This particular video I'll try and make quick. I wanted to share something from my studies this morning in Isaiah 24. It states that in the future, Isaiah 24 is about God's judgment upon the earth, the devastation of that judgment. And at one point, the righteous will glorify God and celebrate His wrath. The wrath of, as it talks about, the righteous one. His justice. His wrath is something to be celebrated, but that really is for a different video. At the end of that chapter, it says that the sun and the moon, specifically here I want to focus on the sun, will be ashamed at the revealing of the glory of God in that day. And that image, that verse, really shook me because it's a wonderful word picture of the glory of God. Scripture states that God's the invisible one. And it's difficult. It's only through word pictures. I believe it's in Nahum 1. It says the clouds are the dust of His feet. Now every time I walk outside and I look at clouds, I realize that's what God kicks up when He walks. It also states in Isaiah 24 that God will twist the earth in His judgment. And I get the idea of, you take a wet rag and you wring it out. That's kind of like what God will do to the earth. It also states in Isaiah as well that the heavens are His throne and the earth His footstool. And I kind of get the image of, the earth is what God puts His feet up on at the end of the day. Kind of like a stool. The chair I'm sitting in now, the computer's resting on a footstool. That's God. That's how big and awesome He is, painting a word picture. But the best word picture that I've ever seen in Scriptures here in Isaiah 24. The sun is ashamed at the glory of God. Now, it doesn't mean the sun's ashamed due to sin. That's not what it's talking about here. The sun obeys God. Something in Job is made, the same sort of wording is made of the angels. They obey God. The reference here to the sun being ashamed has to do to its creatureliness. It's a creation. But think about the sun for a minute. I live in Florida. It's in the mid-90s to almost 100. Plan on going fishing maybe this week or next week. This week, I think. You're out there in 95-degree heat fishing and you're wilting, and by the end of the day you're worn out. And if you don't have sunscreen on, you got blisters and you're burnt. Do that sort of thing long enough, you get cancer and can die. In survival situations, one of the main issues is, what do you do about the sun? Because it can kill you very quickly. You can't even look at the sun. I know, as a kid, like an idiot, I did so without, sunglasses, and just stared at it for about 5 minutes. My eyes hurt when I was done. We can't even look at the sun. And we don't even have the technology to get near the sun. It's too hot. It's too transcendent and awesome. It's beyond our real capability to understand it. And if it's that way with the sun, how much more so with its creator, before whom the sun is ashamed. The one who created the sun, before whom we wilt and can barely stand its heat, can't even look at with our own eyes. How much more so with the one who created it? By a mere word in a day. Something to think about, huh? My friend, the Crushmaster, here on YouTube, has made a video, and I'm going to put the video in the info box. Scripture says that it is appointed a man once to die, and after that the judgment. In Revelation 20, it states that John sees a big white throne. A throne radiating the white-hot heat of God's glory, His purity. And that throne is so big, He doesn't notice that the vast majority of mankind, that all of mankind, excluding, that small minority of believers, that all mankind that has ever lived in history is standing before it. A number of billions upon billions. John doesn't even notice they're there. All he sees is the white-hot throne. That heat. You can't even look at the sun without sunglasses. You can't even stand in the sun without putting something on your skin and not get burnt or blistered. And what do you think it will be like come Judgment Day? Easy to boast now, isn't it? But you have a vivid image right in your sight every day of God's judgment. You can't look at the sun, S-U-N. How much more so the Son, S-O-N. Psalm 2, it says, "Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish in the way when his wrath is kindled in an instant." Go on NASA, as I did, and they've got all this amazing video of the sun. And look at it and think about it. The awesomeness of the sun. As I said, S-U-N in this case. And then think of the awesomeness of the Son, S-O-N. The Son's, S-U-N, a bit confusing here, Creator. As I said, my friend the Crushmaster did a video regarding the judgment of God. And I'll put it in the info box for you to watch. And I suggest you do and contemplate the message that the Crushmaster is saying. Good friend of mine. It's a good video. It's about 6 to 7 minutes long. And it's about your eternity. And I'll emphasize it once again as I just keep repeating it and hoping you get the message. If you can't look at the sun and its immense heat and its brightness, what do you think it's going to be like come Judgment Day? And you have to look at the one who created it, whose glory is so immense that the sun is ashamed. Thank you. Take care. And if you have any questions, you can message me.